Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if, neglected Naruto x Kushina Uzumaki, part 6. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. I do not own this fanfic, and also make sure to check out the author of this fanfic, BLUEDOG1029, and support him for writing this awesome fanfic. Link is in the description. So let's get into the video. 2 years later. Naruto's age. 13. Blue eyes slowly flickered open from the smell of breakfast permeating the room. I didn't remember reserving breakfast in bed. Naruto muttered drowsily, as he lifted his arm to cover his eyes from the morning light. You didn't, but I don't dare think of what you would be eating if I didn't do this. A serene yet stoic and monotone feminine voice called out from the kitchen of Naruto's studio apartment-styled room. Frozen food and protein bars. The food of warriors. Naruto muttered, as he sat up on his bed shirtless, and only wearing a pair of pajama pants. At the edge of his bed Ari lay staring intently at the individual in the kitchen. Not moving, not growling, simply staring at the individual with an emotionless facade. And that right there is why I'm here. Oh, what would you do without me? The voice called out again. Naruto took a brief look around his room before putting on a t-shirt that was thrown on the nightstand most likely the night before. The room was the same as before, his bed at the far back of the room, a nightstand sitting right next to it, a dresser between the foot of Naruto's bed and the wall. In the same room, but more in the center of the room was the living room space, which consisted of a two-person sofa on the right wall, the coffee table in the center, and a TV stand, and TV on the opposite wall of the sofa. A similar occurrence in both the bedroom area and the living room area was the vast amount of miscellaneous things, ranging from weapons like battle axes, spears, lances, tanto, swords, scythes, and anything you could think of pretty much. Things other than weapons would be strange things or treasures like masks from different tribes or clans, scrolls, and secret articles. And probably the most prominent of all, treasure, literal treasure, gold coins, jewelry, crowns, jewels, etc. These are what Naruto calls spoils of war. Then was the kitchen, separated from the rest of the studio apartment by a counter bar area. The kitchen is everything you would expect: an oven with a stove on top, a coffee maker, a microwave, a kitchen sink, cupboards full of plates, bowls, cups, then the drawers full of silverware. But that wasn't what caught Naruto's eye. In the kitchen with her back towards him stood a female around the age of 17 to 18, with straight royal purple hair that reached to the small of her back. She had a slender build, but was clearly defined in womanly characteristics, perky breasts that were clearly fit in, and defined by her tied ambu uniform, a waist that was toned and smooth most likely from vigorous training, wide hips yet long legs clearly honed, and worked on over years, and years of constant exercises. She wore a regular ambu uniform with the exception of her mask, not that Naruto could see her face due to her back towards him. On the coffee table lay a single full-size katana that wasn't any of Naruto's. I told you I don't need you to keep coming and taking care of me. Naruto sighed as he stood up and walked towards the bathroom. Oh? And if I didn't, then who would? Sigh. The woman asked slightly sarcastically. Haha, very funny. But no, I don't need anyone to take care of me. Naruto deadpanned from the other room before he splashed his face with water. Oh, come on. Everyone needs somebody to take care of them. The woman said from the kitchen. Not me, I'm self-sufficient. Naruto answered flatly, as he walked back into the main room wiping his face off with a towel. That's what you think, but actually you have me taking care of you whether you like it or not, so that means in fact you aren't as self-sufficient as you thought. They answered smartly. Against my will, okay fine. Then who takes care of the great Yuzuki? I've never seen you with anyone other than me, and by default sigh when you're forced to be with him because of me. Naruto asked in response. Yes, this is Yuzuki, a student of Kushina Uzumaki's, and friend. The relationship is complicated between Naruto and Yugao to say the least. Well, that's a no-brainer. Oh yeah? Then who is it? Naruto asked sarcastically. You? The now named Yuzuki answered like it was nothing out of the ordinary. What? How does it even make sense? I do close to literally nothing for you, and I'm not even embarrassed to say that. Naruto looked at her slightly wide-eyed. Well, emotional support. You even have my back on all the missions we have together. She explained, slightly unsure of herself. I don't know if I should be offended or not. Literally any partner you have on a mission would have your back. Naruto explained, as he sat down at the sofa waiting for the food to be done. Oh, that's not true, and you know it. Everyone in Ambu knows you are much more emotional about missions, and how you always take the hard jobs. Your record is even one of the best for losing comrades. Yugao informed the blonde, as she turned around from the stove with 2 plates of eggs, bacon, sausage, toast, and hash browns. Yugao's face made her entire physique just multiply in rating. Her heart-shaped face is framed perfectly by 2 locks of her purple hair. Her naturally cherry-red lips make her pale complexion just shimmer in the light. Her brown eyes stared elegantly at anything and everything. Her looks mixed with her naturally serious or stoic aura and facial expression made the whole thing come together in the perfect package. Once again, I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or an insult. It was meant as a compliment. Then we're all good. At least I can never get tired of your cooking. Naruto gave up and started to dig into his food. Exactly, so you should stop whining and just embrace it. Yugao spoke with a matter-of-fact type of tone. They ate in relative silence side by side with Ari laying at Naruto's feet minding her own business, but still refusing to leave Naruto's side. That's when Yugao asked a question that was plaguing her mind for a few minutes. So, Naruto, about that thing you were talking about before Yugao started. You're going to have to be more specific than that. About discarding the Uzumaki and Namika's name, have you talked with the Hokage about that yet? Yugao asked curiously albeit hesitantly. I haven't. Naruto answered calmly, as he took a sip of his drink. I see. Any reason why you are so hesitant to talk about this subject? Well, I don't think you should, Yugao muttered quietly. So, this is what this is about. Naruto sighed and leaned back. Wait. No. This has nothing to do with Kushina-sensei. Yugao waved her hands back and forth to prove her point. I know that, but you don't think I should just throw away the privilege of being in a clan? Naruto spoke, as if he got it. Yeah, he actually hit the nail right on the head. Well, don't worry, I wouldn't really lose anything. I highly doubt I was named the successor, and I doubt I am in any arranged marriages, and even if I was in an arranged marriage, I would be happy I left when I could. Other than that, there aren't any significant things. It's not like I'm in the Kra, and even if they wanted to enact that on me, I don't have to be in the Uzumaki clan to do that. For instance, I could technically create my own clan. How anyone could create their own clan given enough time and accomplishments. Naruto explained. But you don't know that. What if you are the successor? Yugao questioned worriedly. Knowing Kushina, she probably didn't even think twice about handing that title to Mito. She probably even went through whatever Uzumaki ritual there is to be announced as the heir. Naruto informed the perplexed. Still, I think it's safer to just leave your family, not your clan entirely. Listen, I know you're worried, and rightfully so, but I don't know why I haven't done this already. It was only just recently when I really thought about doing this, and I'm dead set on leaving the Uzumaki, and there is nothing you can do to stop me unfortunately. Naruto explained to Yugao. What happened to the they are my past type of attitude? Are you really still hung up on it? Yugao asked again. I'm not. This is simply about making sure there is nothing connecting them with me, and me to them. I am already over them. I can see them with a straight face, and honestly say look at me now. You are nothing in my pain, you are nothing in my success, and I won't feel bad about a thing. Naruto informed the woman. I guess there isn't anything I can do to stop you. You do realize though, as soon as Kushina-sensei receives word of this, she is most likely going to rush back, right? Yugao sighed and questioned the blonde. I do, and I'm already prepared for anything. I'm still worried. Oh, don't worry, you'll see when I get back. Naruto chuckled as he returned to his food. Oh boy. Was all that came to Yugao's mind at that very moment. Later that day, Hokage's office. Gramps, I have a formal request. Naruto started. Naruto stood in the center of the royally furnished Hokage's office. Across from him on the other side of the desk was the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, fully garbed in his Hokage robes. That is? Hiruzen asked curiously with a raised eyebrow. I am here to formally ask for legal resignation from the Uzumaki and Namikaze clan and name. Naruto stated straight-faced without his usually garbed Anbu mask. And why would you want to do that? The truth was Hiruzen knew the answer, he just wanted to hear it from Naruto himself. You know why? Either way, I've been thinking about doing this for quite some time, and just recently have I thought it is time to finally make it official. I see, well, I knew this day would come eventually. If I'm being totally honest, I expected this earlier, but nevertheless, yes, that is fine, but you didn't need to do this so seriously. I already had the papers and everything ready for when you finally decided to do this. I'm sure you already thought of this, but this will have to be sent immediately to Kushina, as she is the current head of the Uzumaki clan. Hiruzen informed the blonde, as he opened a drawer and brought out a scroll. I already thought of that, and am fully prepared, but that's not why I'm being this serious. That wasn't my request, that was just me informing you of my decision. Naruto explained to the old man. Immediately Hiruzen got serious, expecting a bomb to be dropped. What is it? Hiruzen asked again. I wish to hand-deliver the message to Kushina myself. Naruto informed the man. Hiruzen's eyes widened immensely at that. Out of all the things he thought Naruto would say, that was the last. He expected Naruto to resign from the village before something like this. Naruto, I can't simply say that Hiruzen started only to be cut off. I know the rules, Gramps. Since this is a clan-related matter, it would by default be turned to a governmental matter due to the circumstances, and anything of that significance must be hand-delivered by a shinobi. Now yes, you could say it's out of the Anbu's reach, but if you add all the probabilities and unknown variables surrounding the two, and the enemies who would just love to get these matters, and learn about none other than Naruto, former Uzumaki, and Namikaze, Naruto explained. Sigh, you really thought about this entire thing, didn't you? Hiruzen leaned back in his chair. Indeed, it would work without a hitch, as long as the Hokage allows this to happen. Naruto explained. And what would Agent Wolf of the Anbu have to do with Miss Kushina and her daughter? Hiruzen asked curiously. to simply ask them some questions, but obviously my top priority is to hand-deliver the important parcel that contains the resignation from a clan. Naruto explained with a smirk. Very well, you may leave when you see fit. Hiruzen looked at the boy for a second. Hiruzen then opened the scroll, filled out a few signatures, then handed Naruto to sign it too. Soon after, Hiruzen took out his wax stamp and placed the Hokage's seal on it, showing the Hokage himself approved of it. Hiruzen looked at the seal for a second. Then I threw it straight into Naruto's grasp. Thank you. Naruto bowed politely and oddly seriously. Think nothing of it, just don't get caught. Say what you must, just make sure you are prepared to face any consequences that may emerge from this, because if I'm correct, Kushina will come back screaming. Hiruzen warned. Don't worry, I am fully prepared. Before I leave, do you have anything with my mother's scent on it? I can probably find the general location, but to find her exact place, I'm probably going to need Ari's help. Naruto questioned the Hokage. Something with Kushina's scent. Hiruzen brought a hand to his chin and thought. I have just the thing. Hiruzen informed the blonde, as he opened another drawer and brought out an old and slightly worn out Konoha headband. What's this? That was Kushina's first headband. Hiruzen explained. I see, and you have it, why? Well, because sentimental value. Anyways, once you find her, make sure you give her the headband too. It will show that this isn't a joke, and she should finally take this seriously. If Naruto didn't trust Hiruzen as much as he did, he would have seen the slight wavering in his answer. Fair enough, anyways, I must go, and prepare to depart. I'll see you when I'm back. Naruto said his goodbyes, and disappeared in a shunshin. Once Hiruzen was alone, he finally spoke up again. There's no way I could tell him that was supposed to be his headband once he graduated. The truth behind the headband was, when Kushina left, she didn't know if she would make it back in time for Naruto's graduation from the academy. She hoped she would, but even if she didn't, she wanted Naruto to have something from her, considering she would be with Mito 24/7, hence the headband was expected to be given to Naruto by his graduation. Since Naruto graduated abnormally, Hiruzen saw it wise to not give it to Naruto, only considering the trauma he was still getting over trying to overcome, not that it mattered anymore. It probably wouldn't have changed a thing. If the sword didn't satisfy Naruto, what would an old worn-out headband do? Hokage Monument. Naruto sat silently with Ari next to him, as he overlooked the massive village. He was preparing himself in a way. It was true when Naruto said he didn't care for his mother's sister. He still wanted to hear what his mother had to say about the ordeal to a random Anbu. He knew no matter what she said, it wouldn't change his mind. No, all he needed was some answers, otherwise he would never let it down. He wanted to know what was so important to simply leave your only son behind, while you and your daughter went and explored the nations doing whatever you wanted. Did she simply favor Mito that much more? He knew Mito was favored for some reason, but he didn't think that was enough for her to simply pack up and throw him into the lion's den. He was told by Hiruzen about some other not nice groups and people, and that his mother thought leaving was the only way to keep everyone safe. Naruto never even saw a fraction of reasoning in her decision like Hiruzen once did. Konoha isn't called the powerhouse of the shinobi world for no reason. Hell, even Jiraiya could probably learn of any attacks before they happened with his spy network. Kushina simply didn't listen. That's why Naruto wants to know why she was so hellbent on leaving him, but like he said, nothing she says will help her. Simply answer his unanswered questions. I thought I would find you here. The quiet monotone spoke from behind Naruto. Well, you thought correctly. Naruto returned, not even turning around to address the newcomer. So, a little bird told me you were going on an interesting mission, to say the least. The voice spoke, as he neared the blonde. Oh? Who would this little bird be? Naruto asked sarcastically. The Hokage. That's not a little bird. Sigh. Naruto's sweat dropped, as his fellow Anbu sat down next to Naruto on the Hokage's monument. The Anbu in question was Sai, just Sai, no last name on record. He has medium-length straight black hair, and equally black eyes that were very pronounced on his deathly pale skin. It was like ink splattered onto a blank piece of paper. He wore the standard Anbu outfit with his mask clipped onto his belt. His mask was white with black markings depicting a mouse. Sai was one of the few that Naruto could honestly call a friend. Indeed, he isn't more of a hawk, or maybe an eagle. Sai mused next to the blonde. Now what do you want? Not that I don't enjoy the company, but Naruto started curiously. I was wondering if you were okay going on the mission. Can you really face them? Sai asked seriously. I can, and I will. Do you want me to come? Just in case you snap. Sai asked again. It wasn't a secret that whenever Kushina and Mito popped up in a conversation, Naruto's mood would immediately take a turn for the worse. He didn't care about them, yet there was so much rage in him it scared the Hokage sometimes. Sai didn't care most of the time, except this time he was forced to make sure Naruto didn't do anything stupid on his mission. No, I need to do this myself, and don't worry, I won't snap. Panther-sensei taught me better than that. Naruto spoke calmly. Naruto, you know, if I was anyone else you would probably be on your way to the T&I department just for sounding suspicious. You know you can't talk about him, especially since you were his student. Sai informed the blonde. Yeah? What do you want me to do then? He was my sensei, and what he did I don't know, maybe he was forced to. I just don't know. I will still use everything he gave me to my fullest. It is knowledge. Knowledge is like power. If you have it, use it. Naruto explained. If somebody who didn't like you hears you, what will happen? What if Danzo heard you? Sai returned. Danzo? Hey, I'm all good with him. We're on good terms. You know what Hiruzen says. He's like a snake. You can't trust him. I don't trust him. I just know who he is, how he works. I have him wrapped around a finger. Naruto explained, as he leaned back and pushed forward to stand up. Your cockiness is going to get you in trouble one of these days. Sai sighed and shook his head slightly. Oh yeah? How many times have I already been told that by you alone? Naruto asked sarcastically. 2146, give or take. Sai responded, not at all surprised. Exactly, keep telling me that, and you will keep jinxing it every time. Naruto chirped, as he picked up his mask from the ground and clipped it back into its place, covering his face. Maybe, anyways. I would love to stay and chat, but I have a mission to embark on. Oh. If you see Yugao, tell her not to make me any food. I'm out on a mission. Naruto requested. You realize she's going to be on you as soon as you're back in town, right? If you leave without telling her, who knows what she'll do. Everyone knows how emotionless she normally is, yet with you, she just isn't. Sai explained. That's why I'm leaving without telling her, duh. I'd rather deal with it after my mission than before. Naruto chuckled behind his mask. Very well. Sai shook his head again. Oh? And Sai. Yes, thanks. I was kind of lost before you came and spoke with me. I'm good now though. Naruto explained sincerely. Naruto turned around, gave Sai a salute, and fell backwards off the Hokage's monument without a care in the world. Always the one for dramatic exits. Sai smiled slightly before he shunshined away. Later that day, somewhere in Tea Country, Naruto was silent throughout the entire journey. The only sounds between him and his wolf were the simple commands and communication necessary to track the Uzumaki matriarch and her daughter. According to Ari, they were close, only about half an hour to an hour away. It was already 9 o'clock, so it was already dark out, and the only thing illuminating the forest was the moonlight, which both Naruto and Ari loved quite a bit. But the closer Naruto got to wherever Kushina and Mito were, the more he started to think. He thought about his life ever since they left almost 7 years ago. It was full of hardships. Barely anything happy happened in that entire time. He met Ari, yes, but what else could he really say truly made him happy? He trained himself to his breaking point over and over again. He became the apprentice to an Anu captain. He joined Anu. He went on missions. Almost died a handful of times. Was proclaimed dead and missing. Went on more missions. Then the worst of the entire time for Naruto. Itachi's betrayal. Itachi's betrayal was what really messed with Naruto the most. He knew it wasn't really a massacre to test his own strength like the reports said. He himself was tipped off by Panther and overheard part of the conversation. After the ordeal, he went and asked Panther why he told him and what happened, and the answer was simply, "What are you talking about?" And it never changed. Panther simply acted like he had no clue what Naruto was talking about and never told Naruto what happened after that. Even his own relationship with Mikoto changed. After the massacre, Naruto was really hurt and disappointed in Mikoto. For months on end he never went to her and Satsuki. Looking back on it now, he knew that was dumb, and he should have helped them get over what happened, but at the time he didn't care. He felt betrayed again, like she was just going to leave him behind like Kushina did. Finally, after extreme urging from Mikoto, who couldn't find Naruto anywhere to try and amend her mistakes, Hiruzen literally forced Naruto in a room with Mikoto and didn't let them out until they sorted out their problems. Mikoto didn't blame Naruto for his reaction. After all, she could see how she betrayed him and his trust, and after what happened with Kushina, it only made it worse. After about 2 hours of talking and amending mistakes, they both left a lot better than they were before. Hiruzen Naruto never once doubted nor lost trust or love for his grandfather figure. Even after Hiruzen learned that Naruto listened to the conversation the elders and the Anbu captains had about Itachi killing off the Uchiha clan. That in itself would be guaranteed a death sentence for anyone else, but not for Naruto. Hiruzen wasn't the Hokage for nothing. He knew when things were going on when something happened, and Naruto's perfect timing on saving Mikoto and Satsuki. That didn't sound that perfect to him, so after he confronted Naruto and learned the truth, he kept it between himself and Naruto. After all, Naruto did help more than not. He let Itachi spare who he wanted to spare, and ease Hiruzen's consciousness even just a little bit. Would Hiruzen get in trouble if anyone ever learned of his pardoning of Naruto? Obviously, but Hiruzen was the Hokage for a reason, and he wouldn't get pushed around. Plus, if he needed to, he could find a loophole or an alibi to amend the situation. I mean, sure, Sai joined Anbu a few years after Naruto, and they pretty much hit it off, as they were the only ones around their age. That still wasn't enough considering all the things that happened. Even Yugao, who joined Anbu a year before Sai, was good for Naruto, but a handful of happiness doesn't always outweigh an ocean of bad. Naruto shook himself out of his thoughts when he noticed the end of the forest he was running through. He stopped in the brush right at the end of his cover. It was grassy plains for, as far as the eye could see, no trees, no civilization, nothing, just grassy fields for miles and miles. But that's when he caught sight of a campsite around 50 to 75 feet away. The campsite was no big caravan or anything of the like, simply two above average in size tents, and a still lit fire just outside that perfectly illuminated the immediate surrounding area. That's when he saw them. Two figures doing their katas in the night breeze. The taller and older figure had her hair up in a ponytail, and had something that looked like a more comfortable and more leisurely Jonin outfit. The younger one had a simple yellow t-shirt and blue shorts. They both had one thing in common though, long and radiant crimson red hair. At that exact moment Naruto laid eyes on his former family, he subconsciously switched into his mission persona, calm, cold, collected, lethal, and most of all emotionless. He felt nothing for the duo. He would imagine about this day for the past 6 years, and now? He felt nothing. He knew deep down there was so much utter rage and contempt that it could probably boil over at any moment, and he snaps like Sai was worried about, but he couldn't feel the rage at the moment. It was like his mind went into self-defense mode on instinct. That's how little he felt for the duo. In the camp, Kushina sighed again as she watched over her daughter. She was getting tired of the training trip. It's been 6 years, and all she could teach her daughter was ninjutsu, taijutsu, a little bit of medical ninjutsu, and her chakra chains. Now don't get it wrong, Mito was very strong for some people her age, maybe even a prodigy like her mother and father, but that wasn't the point. One of the main factors why she left wasn't even able to be touched on for who knows why. Kyuubi's chakra. No matter what they tried, nothing worked. Kushina knew how to train her in the chakra, as she herself had to learn at one point, and Kushina wasn't usually the one to sit still, meditate, and train that often, but she still did it in the end, and it didn't even take 6 years like Mito was taking. Kushina frowned, as she remembered their failed attempts at it. Mito could summon the bare minimum level of it, the plain chakra cloak, no tails, just a cloak of the chakra. If she ever tried to summon forth an entire tail, she would either have a system overload where her body and chakra would shut down, she would lose control for a few moments before passing out, or she just plain couldn't. No matter what they tried, nothing worked. She simply couldn't use the Kyuubi's chakra. It made Kushina grit her teeth in anger on many occasions. I mean, one of the main reasons she left on these training trips was also Mito could learn how to harness the Nine Tails chakra. It made her feel like she left Naruto for nothing. Speaking of Naruto, Kushina missed him. Not just missed him, she needed to see him. It's been 6 years since she last saw him or spoke to him. He never sent any messages like she wanted him to, and told Hiruzen to make him do it. That gut-wrenching feeling that has been haunting her since she left Konoha has only gotten worse over the time. It started off where she could simply think of something else and cover it up with a different emotion, or keep herself busy so she didn't feel it, but over the years it got worse. A lot worse. It's now to the point she'll have nightmares every other night. During the day she is forced to bear with it and simply push it to the side and grit her teeth through it while she trains Mito or does a mission with Mito. She didn't know what it was. All she knew was that it was something about Naruto, so she figured it was just her missing Naruto, but she couldn't shake off the feeling that it was worse, much worse. Even at this moment in time she was already debating about going back to Konoha. Even though Mito's training technically wasn't done yet, the smallest thing that would somehow make her neither want to go back to Konoha would be enough to spark her motivation to end the training trip before Mito's done training. No matter how small it was, it would spark a fire. Kushina was shaken out of her musings, quickly narrowed her eyes, and glanced towards the forest nearby. She felt a chakra signature, and they weren't doing anything, just watching them. Come out. I know you're there. Kushina commanded, and even shocked Mito out of her training, as she followed Kushina's eyes to the dark forest. What are you talking about, Mom? Mito asked curiously, as she squinted her eyes towards the forest to try and see who her mom was talking about. Mito, shush. Come out, it's no use hiding. Kushina commanded again, as nobody came out. Mito looked at the forest, and then glanced back at her mother just in time to see a shadowy figure behind her mother. Mito screamed in shock, alerting her mother of the presence behind her. Kushina immediately spun around and aimed a perfectly aimed roundhouse kick towards her attacker's head, hoping to incapacitate him swiftly. Thump! The kick was caught by the figure who simply held Kushina's leg there so she couldn't hit him. Kushina immediately backpedaled and grabbed Mito, then leaped backwards. I didn't even sense him, Kushina thought to herself in shock. She was a sensor, and she should be able to sense anyone with chakra unless there's still somebody in the forest, but that doesn't explain why I didn't sense him beforehand. Kushina mused to herself, glaring daggers towards the figure. Who are you? What do you want? Kushina demanded, as she shielded Mito from the figure. Lady Uzumaki, I have a message from the Hokage. Naruto spoke up in monotone, his mask covering any hint that he was Kushina's only son. That was when the figure stepped into view of the duo. The fire illuminated his Anbu outfit and wolf mask enough to cast away the duo's fears. I see Kushina was relieved and somewhat excited that she finally got another message from Hiruzen. Ever after the incident, as Hiruzen would call it, when Naruto almost died after his run-in with the Hashigakure shinobi, and Kushina and Mito made no attempt to come and even see if Naruto was alright, even though Hiruzen completely went ballistic about how Naruto went missing and was pronounced MIA and about to be killed. Yes, even if they did have the excuse of I didn't see the messages in time. Hiruzen knew any decent parent would come and see their child even for a few days, just to make sure they were alright, even if what Hiruzen was true about Naruto fell out of a tree. Considering how Hiruzen freaked out, they should have still gone to at least check up on him. Kushina was ecstatic when she heard there was a message back from Konoha. Hiruzen rarely sent any messages to her regarding anything really. If she ever asked about Naruto, the answer would be he's fine. Or don't worry about him, do your priorities first. She only ever received a sentence at most, usually only a few words, but she took what she got. She trusted Hiruzen after all. Kushina couldn't show this though. She had to make sure the Sanbu agent wasn't an enemy. After all, there still was the chakra signature in the forest. Alright, if you don't mind, would you call out to your friend in the woods? Kushina asked with narrowed eyes. Naruto simply nodded behind his mask. Whistle. Almost immediately Ari walked out of the brush and stood by the forest in sight, but not close to them. The wolf. How does a wolf have a chakra signature? Kushina asked again. She's special, was the only reply she got. Alright, anyways, why does this have to be hand-delivered? Why not by messenger Hulk like all the others? Kushina asked again, still suspicious of the wolf-masked Anbu agent. This is a governmental issue. It is by law somebody has to hand-deliver this. Naruto answered calmly, as he pulled out the scroll and showed her the Hokage's seal. Upon seeing the Hokage's personal seal, Kushina relaxed and brought down her hands and walked towards the wolf-masked agent to retrieve the scroll. I see, and why not just send a Genin squad or Jonin for this? Isn't this a little below Anbu? Kushina asked, as she grabbed the scroll. Considering the circumstances around you were elevated to an Anbu level. Naruto replied quickly. I see you are dismissed then, you may return to Konoha. Kushina said, as she turned around and was about to open the scroll. If you would, I have some questions before I leave. Naruto spoke up, slightly surprising Kushina again. Oh, yes. Kushina asked shockingly, as it was extremely rare for an Anbu to ask any questions or do anything that wasn't necessary for the mission at hand. That's when it hit Kushina. This voice seemed familiar. She couldn't quite pinpoint where from, but she could have sworn she knew this voice. It's been too long since she's been in Konoha to remember everyone's voice though, so she shook it off. It's about your son. Naruto started, and immediately Kushina's and Mito's eyes widened. Do you know him? How is he? How do you know him? Kushina immediately fired off questions one by one. I do know him, he is a friend to say the least, and yes, he is doing fine. Actually, he's doing better than he ever has, better than when you two were still in Konoha. Naruto explained emotionlessly, a little too emotionlessly for Kushina's liking. It was making her slightly uncomfortable. But Kushina sighed in relief and wiped a bead of sweat off of her forehead. Anyways, may I ask why you left your son all by himself back in Konoha to fend for himself? Naruto asked, as he felt his own emotionless facade slowly weaken. Excuse me. That is none of your business, Mr. Anbu, and I didn't leave him alone. I had plenty of people who could look after him. Kushina narrowed her eyes, as she answered. Oh, but I know the circumstances behind your abandoning of your child. No need to be secretive with me, and no, I don't think you did leave him with able people. Naruto replied quickly. Excuse me. I trust those people with my life, and I won't stand still and let you ridicule them. Kushina replied hastily. Oh, but you get me wrong. You are simply forgetting all of the people you were expecting to take care of him are active shinobi of the leaf, and the other is the Hokage himself. Surely you would have realized they couldn't look after him all the time. Naruto replied calmly. No, I knew that, and trust them 100% with him either way. Now are we done here? Kushina clearly wasn't liking the conversation. No, I have a few questions. After all, these are for Naruto. Naruto explained. Fine, then ask quickly. I am tired and want to get to bed. Are you aware of your child's reputation in the village? Naruto asked quickly. Naruto's? Of course. He is loved by most of the village to my knowledge. The only one with a real problem is Mito here. Considering you're an Anbu, I would expect you to know what Kushina said suspiciously. I see you disappoint me, Lady Uzumaki. Anbu sighed and shook his head. What? Kushina was shocked that an Anbu agent would ridicule her right in front of her. Did you truly never pay any attention to your son? Naruto asked again. Excuse me. You have no rig. Kushina was cut off by the wolf-masked agent. What's Naruto's favorite color? What? I don't know. Orange. What's his favorite food? Ramen. What's his favorite pastime? Going out and playing in the forest and climbing trees. His favorite animal? Frogs. Kushina replied, but it was clear that she wasn't too sure of her own answers. Sigh. You disgust me, Lady Kushina. Naruto felt his own rage start to fester. What? You truly never cared for your son, did you? Never even cared for his well-being, let alone know what his likes or dislikes were. Naruto told the redhead. I love my son. You have no right to say that you are a friend of Naruto's or not. Kushina exclaimed. If you truly loved your son then you wouldn't have abandoned him. Naruto said, as he turned around and started walking away with Ari in tow. I didn't abandon him. Kushina yelled. What else do you call leaving a 7-year-old child by himself locked out of his own home then? Because I'm pretty sure if I looked up abandoned in the dictionary a picture of Naruto would be there. Naruto venomously replied. I had to leave him. I didn't abandon him. You should know if you were told the details of our circumstances. It was for his and my family's safety. Kushina exclaimed heatedly in defense. Konoha isn't known as the strongest nation in the elemental nations for nothing, Lady Uzumaki. You would have been better off in Konoha. Lord Jiraiya could have informed us of any problems with his spy network too. It's not my fault you were so hell-bent on abandoning your own son and throwing him to the wolves. The Anbu said clearly disgustedly. I didn't abandon him or throw him to any wolves. Kushina denied the claim. That's not what your former son thinks. The Anbu informed the woman. Kushina didn't even register the former son part. She only heard son, and that he thinks she abandoned him and doesn't love him. That's not true. Naruto knows better. He will always forgive and trust me. That's just how he is. Quit spouting nonsense. Friend or not, you will not be forgiven. Kushina roared, but one could easily hear the crack in her voice. Naruto didn't answer, simply kept walking towards the forest before he stopped at the very edge and tilted his head slightly. Anbu's piercing ocean blue eyes and blonde hair illuminated through his mask in the moonlight, sending shivers down Kushina's spine. I'll leave you with this. You're in for a very rude awakening when you get back to Konoha, Lady Kushina. I doubt you'd recognize Naruto now, and that's assuming you can even find him in the first place. I can tell you this. You don't mean anything at all to him anymore. In his mind, you abandoned him, and he wants nothing at all to do with you or your daughter. Before you go off and say that everything will be okay, keep in mind that this isn't conjecture on my part. Naruto is the one who told me this, almost word for word. Naruto didn't spend a second later to view the absolute horror written all over Kushina's face. Kushina stood there for a second before she shook her head and brought out the scroll. There's no way Naruto would think that he isn't really Naruto's friend. No, he's probably somebody who holds a grudge against me and my family because of the Kyuubi. Yeah. That's what Kushina told herself, trying to calm the quivers running through her entire body as she shakily opened the scroll to view what was inside. After a few moments Kushina dropped the scroll and whatever was inside, and her eyes were open to unimaginable lengths, horror and grief written all over her face. No, no, no. Kushina screamed to herself. Mom, what happened? Mito yelled in shock, as she just got out of her own thoughts about what the Anbu agent just said moments before. Mito, pack your bags, we're going back to Konoha immediately. But Mom, now? Kushina roared, as she dropped everything she was planning on doing, and immediately started to seal away her camping supplies and ninja supplies. Mom, can't we wait until tomorrow? Mito asked again. Mito Uzumaki. Start packing or I will leave you behind. I am not playing around this time. Kushina roared, not in the mood for an argument. Immediately Mito shut up and started packing. In no less than 10 minutes they were already gone. The only thing left at the campsite, a still crackling fire, a scroll with the details of a resignation from the Namikaze and Uzumaki clans, and name. And what made Kushina herself more horrified than the fact she was told that her son thought she abandoned him. The headband she left behind for Naruto was folded neatly in the center of the message. That in itself sent a pretty clear message to Kushina. With Naruto. A few hours later, click. Naruto entered his room in the Anbu HQ with Ari right behind, never missing a beat. Sigh. Naruto just got back from the debriefing with Hiruzen, and he was tired. Normally a trip to Tea Country would take a day or two, but Naruto sprinted the entire way there, and back with the help of some soldier pills. What did that mean? He was tired, extremely tired. Naruto placed his mask at the small table by the front door, where usually one's keys would be, and he walked into his apartment-style dorm. Naruto. A voice called out to Naruto, as soon as he entered the main room. Naruto's head looked towards the bar counter where the voice spoke from, and spotted Yugao sitting with a beverage of some sort, clearly tired if the bags under her eyes said anything. Yugao? What are you doing here? It's already 4 AM, shouldn't you be sleeping? Naruto asked confusingly. I have the day off tomorrow, plus there's no way I wouldn't be here the moment you got back. Yugao half slurred in her drowsy state. Can't we do this tomorrow? I literally just ran to a country and back in less than 24 hours. I would really like to sleep for the next 24 hours. Naruto begged. No, I want to know why you didn't come and tell me you were leaving so early. Let alone have Sai tell me instead. Yugao narrowed her eyes dangerously. Because if I did you would worry and want to come with me. I didn't want you to come with me. I'll tell you what I told Sai. I had to do it myself. Like I said, I didn't want to worry you. You know how you reacted this morning because of me simply leaving the clan, so what would you have done if I did tell you? Naruto asked in return. I would have tried to stop you or come with, Yugao said meekly. Exactly. Now may I go to sleep now? I think tomorrow's going to be a big day. Naruto said, as he walked towards his bed and flung off his armor and took off his shirt. Fine, Yugao sighed, as she stood up and grabbed her mask and prepared to leave. Just stay here for the night. Your apartment is too far away, and you already stayed this long, just stayed the night, not like it's the first time you stayed the night. Naruto's muffled voice came from the large king-size bed. Thanks. Yugao smiled slightly as she walked towards the bed. Yugao sat on the edge of the bed to the left of Naruto and lifted the t-shirt she was wearing over her head. Naruto took this time to roll over and watch Yugao. Under Yugao's t-shirt wasn't a bra like most would believe. Instead it was wrapped like female samurai would normally do, so Yugao slowly unwrapped the bindings from her chest, trying to get comfortable for bed. I still don't get how you can do that so easily in front of me. Do you let all the guys get a free show? Naruto asked slightly sarcastically by the end. Only if they want their balls cut off. Yugao replied offhandedly, as she continued to unbind her chest. Naruto cringed slightly before replying again. Then what about me? I'm not getting my balls chopped off, that's for sure. You wouldn't watch like everyone else. Yugao informed the blonde, as she finished the rest of her bindings. As soon as her bindings were unwrapped, her breasts were set free like somebody opened the floodgates. Naruto could have sworn she cuts off the blood flow to her breasts, with how tight she binds her chest. I'm literally watching right now. Naruto answered, as he simply didn't care. Yugao in turn turned around, giving a full view of her breasts and face. I don't know then. Yugao replied again, as she lifted the covers and slid in next to the half-naked Naruto, not caring that she herself was more than half-naked. You know, I could have sworn your boobs got at least 4 sizes bigger as soon as you undid your bindings. Naruto continued to stare at her breasts as she laid on the bed. That's what bindings are for, Naruto. We've been over this like last time I slept with you. Yugao replied. No, Yugao, you don't understand. That points at her breasts doesn't simply fit into what you bind your chest to. The sizes have too much of an extreme difference for that to physically be possible. Naruto explained as he went to poke them. Poke them, and I will cut off your balls. Yugao threatened. It was for science, Naruto muttered as he offhandedly cuffed his crotch. My bindings are just that good, there is no science about it. Yugao informed the blonde. Right, exactly. Anything else before we go to sleep? Yeah. Yes. Do you like me? Naruto asked seriously. Yes, I like you. Yugao answered immediately. No, do you like me? Naruto clarified. I don't know. Maybe not. Yugao answered truthfully. I see. Do you see me as your little brother? Naruto asked again. Not really. I thought I did, but lately I've seen that it's not that. Yugao explained. I see. Then what is it? Like I said, I don't know. Gotcha. Well, if you do end up liking me, Naruto started. Yes? Yugao questioned the blonde with an intrigued look on her face, not that he could see it, considering they were laying side by side. I would be in the cross, so you would have to share with me. Plus, I'm a demon that in itself, Naruto explained. I know you told me demons usually have harems themselves if they are powerful enough, so even if you didn't get enacted into the craw, you would still most likely have a harem. Yugao remembered what she was told a year or two back. Yes, she was one of the few who knew of what Naruto was. Only Naruto's most trusted people knew, mainly because he didn't want any secrets between anyone he loves. So, would you still like me even if you knew that? Hypothetically speaking. Yes, if I liked you I would be fine having to share you. Yugao cleared Naruto's consciousness. Really? That easily? Naruto asked surprisingly. Indeed, there's nothing I can do, and if I do like you I'm not going to simply stop liking you, it's not that simple. I'll just have to fight to assert my place, and make sure you don't forget about me. Yugao rolled over, and wrapped an arm around Naruto, as she tried to fall asleep. Well, hypothetically speaking, if you do like me, and I like you, and you join my little harem of sorts, then I can guarantee that I won't just throw you away. Naruto informed them. Thanks, hun. Yugao said sarcastically, as she slowly drifted off to sleep. No problem, babe, now I'm going to pass out now, Naruto replied just as sarcastically, as he slowly let sleep take over him. So, the two slowly went to sleep together, not caring for each other's state of dress or state of undress, would be more appropriate for the situation. Yugao wrapped herself around the younger boy, as Naruto simply let it happen, and slept comfortably in the cold night. The next day. Gates of Konoha. It was a beautiful day here in Konoha. There was a nice breeze that most of the other countries could only dream of having. It was quiet, and there were just enough clouds, so that the sun wouldn't scorch the village with its rays. These were the days everyone loved, not too hot, not too cold, just perfect. The silence though would soon be interrupted. Two figures could be seen walking towards the front gate at an above-average pace. It was Kushina Uzumaki and her child Mito. Kushina had an easily distinguishable emotion written all across her face, nervousness and worry. Mito somehow calmed her mother down last night and gave her some assurance in the whole problem, otherwise Kushina would have made them run all night. Thankfully Kushina stopped since Mito didn't have the strength or stamina to run an entire country in one night like Kushina did. Mito didn't look as nervous as Kushina, just anxious. She fidgeted in her space, but that was all. It wasn't like Kushina who constantly was twiddling her thumbs. Mito, we are going home first to drop off our bags, then we are going to go straight to the Hokage's office to sort whatever is going on out. Kushina ordered her daughter, who only nodded her head in understanding. If you see your brother anywhere, tell me immediately. Even if you see somebody who you think is Naruto, tell me. We need to find him immediately. Hiruzen can help us in case we can't find him though," Kushina explained. The guards at the gate noticed the two, and immediately straightened up in their seats, and asked for their credentials, and all the things they were obligated to ask. Kushina immediately leapt on top of the buildings, and jogged across their roofs with Mito in tow. It took them about 15 minutes to make it to their home, including the detours they took when they thought they saw Naruto in a crowd of people. As soon as Kushina entered the Uzumaki compound, she felt a dread wash across her for a brief second. "Mito got behind me," Kushina ordered, not knowing what the feeling was entirely. All she knew is it wasn't good. Kushina slowly approached the door, and took note of its condition. The reinforcement seal was no longer active. It seemed somebody with Fuinjutsu knowledge deactivated it, but the blood lock seal was still active. Unfortunately for her, if the burn marks by the lock mechanism said anything, it was that they simply blew open the door. Kushina narrowed her eyes at that before biting her thumb, and performing a few hand signs before she placed her hand on the door. With a brief flash of blue, the door returned to its original state. Click. The door clicked open like normal, so whoever opened the door knew what they were doing, and considering Hiruzen didn't say anything about a break-in while she was gone, she assumed it was probably done with his knowledge. It was probably Jiraiya, Kushina thought to herself, as she stepped into her house. She looked around for a second. It was just as she remembered. Granted, there was a thick sheet of dust over everything, but still a quick wave of nostalgia washed over her as she stepped into the doorway. Crunch. The sound of something crunching under her weight alerted her that she stepped on something metallic. What the Kushina thought to herself as she stepped back in confusion. Kushina bent down, and Mito followed suit to view what it was. It was a katana of sorts. That's when she saw it, the red sheath with golden dragons. Kushina's eyes widened astronomically in horror once again. "Mom? Isn't that?" Mito was cut off by her own mother. "Mito, we're going to the Hokage's office now. Drop your bags," Kushina ordered, as she gripped her daughter's shoulder with a bit too much strength, causing Mito to cringe under the pressure. With a swirl of leaves, the two Uzumaki clanswomen disappeared from their house, leaving only their bags and a shattered katana behind. Hokage's office. Kushina was scared. Not just scared, horrified. The feeling she had all these years was finally hitting her full force. She wanted to cry, and she wanted to puke at the same time. All over the years she knew something was wrong, but she always stayed optimistic, and shook it off, saying it was just her maternal instincts worrying. Even yesterday when Anbu said what he said, and she saw the headband, and the legal documents letting Naruto leave the clan, she still held on to that hope that it was all okay, it was going to be just fine. Now she couldn't even hope, she tried to hope she really did. She tried to believe that Hiruzen knew all that was going on, and everything was going to be okay. She was questioning herself. What she did. If what she did was the right thing to do, or was everyone right the entire time? What would she do if Naruto really did hate her? She didn't know. She didn't want to know. She just wanted it all to be an elaborate prank like the ones she used to play as a child. Kushina marched through the halls of the Hokage tower with intimidating speeds. The secretary on duty tried to stop Kushina and her daughter, but couldn't even lay a hand on her. There was a bead of sweat rolling down her forehead from worry, and the overall queasy feeling Kushina was feeling. Boom. The door to the Hokage's office blew open with enough hinges that would send a normal door off its hinges. This easily alerted Hiruzen of his surrogate daughter and her daughter's arrival. Hiruzen simply sat in his chair with a smile on his face. "Kushina, Mito. It's been so long, I assume your trip was successful?" Hiruzen asked with his grandfatherly tone. "Hiruzen, where is my son? What has been happening while I was away?" Kushina demanded in worry as she approached the Hokage's desk. "Who? I don't recall you having a son," Hiruzen answered seemingly cluelessly. "Hiruzen, cut the shit. Where is Naruto?" Kushina roared apprehensively. "Oh, Naruto? Why didn't you just say so?" Hiruzen spoke cheerfully as he replied to the worried mother. "Where is he? What happened?" Kushina roared. Unfortunately, he does not want to see Kushina, nor can I divulge his whereabouts, Hiruzen informed the horrified mother. "He's not even an adult yet. As his legal guardian, I have the right to at least know where he is," Kushina informed the Hokage. "Oh, but you are mistaken for Kushina," Hiruzen chimed in. "Explain." "Naruto has no need for a guardian nor a parent. He is a legal adult, and has been like that for years now," Hiruzen explained. "Hiruzen, would you mind explaining again why my son has no need for a guardian nor parent? And how exactly is he a legal adult?" Kushina spoke in a low tone that intimidated her own daughter, but didn't even cause the Hokage to flinch. "He is a ninja already, Kushina. He graduated at the age of 7. After that you had no right to worry about his decisions, as he is his own person, an adult." At hearing that, Kushina felt a strange sense of pride at hearing that, but also a feeling of dread. "And why didn't you inform me of this? As I was his guardian until he did graduate, surely you would have had to inform me of his ascension into adulthood," Kushina threatened. "Oh, but I did. Don't you remember when I told you he dropped out of the academy? That was when. Then why didn't you tell me he graduated instead of dropping out?" Kushina roared. Hiruzen finally had enough, and he snapped. "Because Kushina. Back then I still believed you would come back for him. Would you have even thought about returning if I told you he graduated early? No. You would have simply said tell him I'm so proud of him. And get over it. Any normal parent would have returned to see what was going on. Maybe he was getting bullied. Maybe he was having trouble with academics. That is what a parent is for. But no. You never even batted an eye at it and simply moved on. Kushina. Hiruzen yelled in return. You have no right. Kushina declared. I do. Kushina. I am the Hokage, and Naruto is a shinobi of the leaf. And most of all, I am his grandfather and caretaker. I've taken care of him more than you have. I have more rights than you. Hiruzen roared. Take that back. I took care of him and loved him more than the world. Kushina exclaimed. Then why leave him? Hiruzen questioned heatedly. For his own safety. I told you that. Kushina exclaimed. Do you really believe that? Do you really believe that you made the right decision even after all mine and Mikoto's words telling you otherwise? How was it? I don't know. Kushina finally broke and tears started to stream down her face. At least you finally started to see your own mistakes. Hiruzen calmed down. I trusted you, Hiruzen. I trusted you to tell me everything that was going on. Kushina spoke quietly. Kushina didn't even start with me. I tried so hard to get you back. I went behind Naruto's back and betrayed his trust just to help and let you amend your mistakes. So, I don't want to hear a thing about trust. Because I have betrayed none of your trust. If anything, you betrayed mine. Then why didn't you tell me? Do you remember when I originally stopped sending the messages? Hiruzen closed his eyes as he spoke. Yes, around that time at least. When I sent you the messages about Naruto being missing and almost pronounced dead, that was your final test for me. Hiruzen informed the Redeed. What? If you even dropped by just to check on Naruto I would have been happy, but no. You completely ignored it and simply went on your way. But you said he just fell out of a tree again, Kushina whispered. Well, news flash, that wasn't it. He almost died that day. My test was to see if you would return if it wasn't something major, but you failed. You would have waited until it was too late. No, I take that back. You did wait until it was too late. You only listened when it was an extremely major problem. So, you tell me. Why didn't you return? Any normal parent would have returned even if it was just he fell out of a tree and broke a few bones. I mean, it's common sense, Kushina. I was freaking out in the messages. I'm pretty sure if I freak out that means it's urgent enough to return. So, why didn't you return? Hiruzen asked intently. I was going to. Auntie Kushina froze as she remembered Mito talked her out of it. Mito, who was sitting next to her mother, widened her eyes in horror as she recalled the day. Until I didn't think it was necessary for Kushina to grit her teeth and take the fall for her daughter. That right there is your problem. You didn't think it was necessary. What happened then if it wasn't him falling out of a tree? Kushina asked worriedly. I can only tell you the short version of Kushina. It's not something I can tell just anyone. Anything, just tell me anything. He was trapped under the rubble of a fallen building in a canyon on one of his missions. He had a metal rod impaled through his side, pinning him to the ground, rendering him immovable for 2.5 days until help arrived. All the medical nin said he should be dead. Even with your Uzumaki genes he shouldn't have survived the first day of bleeding out. Hiruzen informed, as Kushina just wailed in grief. Her son was trapped under rubble for 3 days, cold, alone, and bleeding out, and she wasn't there to help him or even see if he was okay. What kind of parent was she? Could she even call herself that anymore? That's when she remembered something Anbu told her the day before. It stuck out for some reason above the other things he told her. Hiruzen Kushina spoke quietly. Yes? What is his reputation in the village? Kushina asked, not entirely wanting to know the answer. I see you are finally seeing the light. Hiruzen sighed, and opened a drawer in his desk retrieving a file. Hiruzen said nothing, as he tossed the file in front of Kushina who grabbed it with quivering hands. Inside were the reports of imprisonments and execution orders for everyone who tortured and beat her son over the years. Over the years she was still in Konoha, and she was oblivious to it all. Oh god, oh please no, Kushina muttered in horror. While you were over here pampering your daughter since you thought that she was the only one people had a problem with, Naruto was over here receiving the brunt of the hate. Hiruzen lowered his head in shame at that. Why didn't you tell me? Kushina started. Hiruzen said nothing. Why didn't you tell me, damn it? I was still in the village when this was happening. So why the fuck did you not tell me, old man? Kushina slammed her fists on the table in rage. Because he told me not to. He? Kushina asked confusingly, but anger was still evident in her voice. Naruto. What? Why? Why didn't he want me to know? Kushina demanded. Kushina, what you failed to understand, Naruto was a special child. He was so full of love and trust. I don't take back my words when I said you didn't deserve him, that nobody deserved him, that the world itself didn't deserve him. Hiruzen started. He what? Kushina asked worriedly for the answer. He loved you, Kushina. He absolutely adored you. You were his entire world to him. He would move mountains for you if you asked. You were his everything, and you were his lifeline. Hiruzen stated in sorrow. Kushina simply choked back a sob as she heard him speaking. I wanted to tell you, I really did, but his exact words were I don't want to burden Ka-chan more than I already do. I'm already a big enough burden for her. I want to do everything in my power to make her not worry. Naruto has a way with words, and I simply couldn't say no to him, and Kushina. Naruto was a lot smarter than you gave him credit for. He knew you always favored Mito over him, but he didn't care. He simply loved you so much, too much if I may say. It worried me at times. I knew how you were, and how he was going to be crushed one of those days. Hiruzen explained. My baby, my poor baby boy, what have I done? Kushina wailed into her hands in agony. Like I said, nobody deserved him. The next 10 minutes were filled with the wails of a mother who lost their child. I want to see him. Kushina finally spoke up out of nowhere. He doesn't want to see you. Hiruzen answered frankly. Kushina didn't know what to say. Kushina immediately tried to think of what she could do to try and amend her mistakes. Then she got it. That's it. Kushina stood up from her chair. What is it? Hiruzen asked curiously. I'll make him my apprentice, and then I can train him like he always wanted. Kushina exclaimed. Kushina Hiruzen started. What? This is foolproof. He will at least want to train under me if anything. Then I can try and amend our relationship. Kushina, there's nothing you can train him in. He was already an apprentice under somebody else, Hiruzen informed the Uzumaki matriarch. What? Who? Kushina demanded. That's I unfortunately cannot tell you. He doesn't have a teacher at the moment, but then that's it. I can still train him. Kushina, Hiruzen please. Kushina begged. Ugh, there's one way we can do this. It's the only way Naruto would agree. Hiruzen sighed and leaned back. What is it? You're going to have to fight him. Hiruzen explained. What? Why? That's the only way Naruto would ever agree, if he knew firsthand what your power is, and if there is anything to learn from you. Even then I don't know, because his last teacher, Hiruzen, seemed to drift off into thought. His last teacher was nothing, just thinking. So, will you agree? Yes, if there is any way I can be with him I will do it. Kushina agreed immediately. Alright, go to training ground 10 around 6 o'clock today. I'll take care of Naruto. Until then, prepare yourself is all that I can say. And with that Kushina and Mito left the office. With Kushina and Mito, Kushina still wasn't in a good mood. She was scared. What was Naruto going to say when he saw her? What would she do in the fight? What if she hurt him? Then she frowned, as she remembered what Hiruzen said. The reason he stopped messaging Kushina, and everything was because she listened to Mito when she should have trusted her own gut instinct. Mom? Where are you going? The house is that way. Mito spoke, breaking Kushina out of her trance. I'm going to prepare some things, Mito, and go back home by yourself. Mito could easily hear Kushina wasn't in a good mood. I can come and help Mom. Mito tried to offer. Mito, just go home. Please, I need some time to think by myself. Kushina slightly snapped back at her daughter. She wasn't mad at her daughter, just she couldn't see her right now. Oh, Naruto was all Kushina said, as she walked off into the village. Naruto's Anbu dorm. 4 p.m. Naruto woke up when he felt the presence of multiple people who definitely weren't let in. Naruto opened his eyes and ran a hand through his hair before he looked to see who the intruder was. Standing there in the middle of his living room bedroom were two figures he knew very well. Sai, Gramps Sai, what do I owe the pleasure of having you two here today for? Naruto asked, as he leaned up. Naruto looked to his side when he noticed the heat signature that was there all night, not leaving once. Naruto pulled the sheets up, so they covered Yugao completely before he turned his attention back to the Hokage and the mouse-masked Anbu. Well, I originally came to tell you that the Uzumaki matriarch and her daughter have already come by my office demanding answers and begging to see you, and Hiruzen trailed off as he looked towards Sai. I was waiting for you to get up considering it 4 p.m. Sai said, as he looked at the clock by the bed. Holy crap, no wonder I felt so refreshed. I almost slept through the entire day. Naruto mused to himself as he wiped his eyes of their lingering fatigue. Exactly. Now you know why I worried. But it seemed I worried for nothing considering Sai trailed off as he looked at the rising and lowering of a body underneath the sheets next to Naruto. Oh, my boy already bedding the ladies. Oh, how great of an occasion this has been. I must tell Jiraiya as soon as he's back. We can throw a party for this wonderful occasion. Hiruzen cheered as he wiped an imaginary tear away from his eye. Naruto fell shuffling next to him and looked just in time for Yugao to wake up. I can assure you, Lord Hokage, nothing happened between me and Naruto. Yugao yawned as she sat up and held the sheets above her breasts so she wasn't naked in front of the Hokage and Naruto's strange friend. Oh darn, I guess I have to postpone the celebration then. Hiruzen mock pouted, but it was clear he was joking. Anyways, was there anything else or can I and Yugao get out of bed? Naruto asked suspiciously. Actually, you have to be at training ground 10 tonight at 6 p.m. to have a mock battle against Kushina. She requested that you be an apprentice under her, but I talked her out of it under the context that you would want to test her first, so be prepared and don't give her any fatal injuries. Hiruzen explained seriously. You understand there's no way I would train under her, right? That's where you're trying to get at. Because you won't train under anyone, Jiraiya, and you are the only exception. Naruto muttered, clearly annoyed. I understand that, that's why I set it up like this. You get a crack at your mother to test things out, and I can easily tell Kushina no, and if there's a chance you might want to train under her, and learn something new. Hiruzen trailed off by the end. Not a chance in hell. Naruto informed the older man. That's what I thought. Now I will let you two get dressed and prepared. You have about 2 hours before you have to meet us. Hiruzen explained, as he started walking out with Sai in tow, only to be interrupted by Yugao. Lord Hokage, if I may, can I come? Yugao asked earnestly. Don't worry, Miss Suzuki, I already have you and Sai as my Anbu escorts for the duration of the meeting. Hiruzen explained with a smile, as he and Sai left the room, leaving the two to their own demise. That means I have 2 more hours of sleep. Naruto cheered as he collapsed back on the bed. Oh, shush you, get up, come on, we have to get ready. I'll make breakfast, well, dinner, lunch, breakfast. Yugao explained, as she stood up from the bed, still uncaring for her state of undress. Fine, Naruto muttered, enjoying the view, as he started to get up. And so, they got up, and prepared for the day, well, what was left of the day. Training ground 10. 6 p.m. Kushina paced around nervously. She got there 15 minutes early in case Naruto or anyone else was there to shed some light of the situation, or even get her mind off of her nervousness and stress of the entire situation. Mito was sitting some ways away on a few stairs that elevated onto a back road on the east side of Konoha. She was extremely quiet, trying not to agitate her mother any more than she did earlier today. Kushina was knocked out of her nervous musings as the Hokage and 2 Anbu appeared via Shunshin. Hiruzen she knew immediately, while the Anbu she didn't quite remember. The first was a woman with purple hair. She wore the well-known Anbu uniform, including a purple and white cat mask with a long katana strapped to her back. The other Anbu was the shortest of the trio and had ink black hair and very pale skin. He wore the same Anbu uniform with a black and white mouse Anbu mask. On his back was a scroll of some sort. Hiruzen, welcoming Kushina, smiled nervously. Naruto isn't here yet? Hiruzen asked, not exactly surprised. No, Kushina muttered sadly. He'll be here in a second, I'm sure of it. Hiruzen smiled reassuringly. Okay, Kushina-sensei. The purple-haired Anbu spoke monotonously. Kushina-sensei. Yugao. Oh, it's so great to see you. Kushina exclaimed, enveloping her former student in a bone-crushing hug. Kushina-sensei, please don't say my name while I'm on duty. Yugao pleaded. Oh? Right, sorry, Kushina chuckled sheepishly. After a few minutes of catching up with Yugao, everyone was knocked out of their musing as they heard rustling in the forest. Kushina, please take your place on the training field. Hiruzen ordered. But, Kushina, don't make me repeat myself, to your position. Now. Hiruzen ordered with a tone of finality. Kushina did, as she was told, and unsheathed her katana from her back. It was a long full-size katana with a silver blade with an almost red tint. On the blade itself were multiple red kanji inscribed all over it. The hilt was wrapped in fiery red cloth, and had a gold tassel hanging from the end, and a gold guard to match. In all, it seemed eerily familiar to the katana Naruto got from her. It was like they were supposed to be matching to an extent. Crunch. The crunching of branches alerted the group of somebody's arrival in the forest. Moments later, the brush parted for a moment, only for a pure white wolf to walk out. The wolf had white fur, as white as snow, and eyes an eerie yet beautifully majestic shade of oceanic blue. The wolf's fur swayed in the midnight wind and was illuminated in the moonlight. Kushina brought out a kunai and prepared herself in case the wild beast attacks somebody. Kushina, I strongly advise you to put the kunai away before you ruin any chances you have with Naruto. You do anything to that wolf, and you ruin your own chances at ever amending your relationships. Hiruzen declared warningly. Kushina lowered her kunai, but still held her katana, and watched as the beast elegantly made its way to the spectators. Haika-chan, the voice of her child, froze her in place. She slowly turned her head toward the direction the voice came from. There, standing in the center of the field, katana strapped to his side, was her son. They didn't look a day older than when she left. He was exactly the same as she remembered. If she was in the right frame of mind, she would have realized the problem. Their son would be around 13 right now, not 7 like she was seeing right in front of her. Naruto. Kushina barely choked out as she brought her hand over her mouth to try and keep the tears back. What's wrong, Ka-chan? Why are you crying? Aren't you going to play ninja now? Naruto asked with a curious tilt of his head. Kushina just wanted to run to her son and just envelop him into the biggest hug she could ever muster and never let go. She almost ran towards him, but Hiruzen stopped her. Kushina, you're here to test your skills. You may reunite afterwards if you must. Hiruzen ordered with narrowed eyes. Alright. Here I come, to Sachi. Kushina muttered with a smile as she lifted her blade and prepared to dash ahead. Come at me with everything you have, Ka-chan. I'll show you how cool of a ninja I can be. Naruto exclaimed cheerfully as he unsheathed his blade. The same blade Kushina found shattered all over her floor just earlier that day. Kushina seemed to have forgotten everything that went on before, as she had one of the brightest smiles on her face, and was chuckling as she dashed towards Naruto. Everything was going fine. Her worries were all for naught. Everyone was wrong. Her child still loved her. She saw her errors, and would correct them from before. None of that mattered right now. It was just her and Naruto. What started as the worst day of her life was becoming one of her best days. Then it all fell apart. One moment she was rushing towards her only son expecting a fun-filled spar. She didn't even process what happened. All she knew was, cough, Ka-chan. Why? The 7-year-old Naruto barely made out in between coughs, blood streaming out of his mouth. Kushina's blade impaled Naruto straight through the chest. Naruto. Kushina could only watch horrified as her son collapsed to the ground, the blade still stabbed straight through him. Kachan. Ayakov thought you loved me. Naruto asked, as tears ran down his face, as he quickly started to pale from blood loss. No. Mommy loves you. Mommy loves you more than you can imagine, Naruto. Kushina screamed at her son whose health was quickly deteriorating. Then cough. Why did you do cough this? Naruto's body went limp as the light left his eyes. Naruto. Naruto honey, please wake up baby. Please Naruto. Naruto please. Kushina wailed in absolute despair. Hiruzen simply shook his head in disappointment. Yugao and Sai, who were guarding the Hokage, were as stoic and emotionless as ever. Mito, who was sitting on the steps, only gaped in horror. But not at the scene of her brother dying, no, that horrified her, but this. Behind Kushina, the Grim Reaper himself appeared in a swirl of darkness, and he slowly unsheathed a katana from a seal on his shoulder, and waltzed towards the Uzumaki matriarch. Hiruzen. Help. Please. Somebody. Please help, Kushina screamed, and looked around frantically for any kind of help for her dying son, only to be cut off, as she felt the familiar feeling of cold metal poking her neck. Kushina didn't even dare look behind her. A feeling of raw fear and horror filled her, as she felt the sword break the skin of her neck, only for a trickle of blood to make its way down the sword. The Naruto you know is dead, all that is left is what you see before you. The husky and cold voice of Naruto spoke from behind her. Kushina slowly turned her head, not caring for the blade that slowly cut into her neck, leaving a thin cut across her neck, drawing more blood. Kushina's eyes simply stayed pried open as she saw her son. His face lost some baby fat. It was sharper and no longer full of the love and compassion it once held. She didn't care though, he was still her son, and nothing would change that. There Kushina tried to leap up and embrace the boy, but was held down by her legs and wrists. The 7-year-old Naruto's body slowly disintegrated, leaving not even a trace behind. Kushina quickly looked down to see what was holding her down, but only looked in horror, as black chains held her down. Her initial thought was to look towards Mito, who she knew already had decent control over her chakra chains. Mito looked just as shocked as her. She was gaping like a fish, trying to understand what was happening. I don't need you anymore. When I needed you the most you weren't there. I'm not going to stand back and let you walk all over me like before. Like I said, the Naruto you knew is dead, 10 feet under, still crying himself to sleep, hoping his mother would come back for him and save him from all the pain. Naruto informed his mother. No? Naruto please. Kushina tried to pull herself out of the chain's clutches. No, I gave you enough chances, now leave me alone. Naruto retracted his katana and began walking away. That's when Kushina realized something. That blonde hair. Those piercing blue eyes. The wolf mask strapped to his belt. Ari quickly moved behind Naruto and followed his every step. And that wolf. Kushina remembered the Anbu from the day before and simply sat there horrified, not even realizing the tears continuously streaming down her face. Yugao quickly sunshine away from the Hokage in order to follow Naruto. Hiruzen simply watched him passively. Sai was unreadable like usual. Mito sat there not knowing what just happened. Kushina just wailed into the night knowing she lost her baby. You know he wasn't always like that. Hiruzen spoke up, interrupting Kushina's sobs. Kushina couldn't muster up the strength to answer. He waited far longer than I ever could have, Kushina. I told him to give you a test to redeem yourself or even realize your mistakes, and I gave up on you before him. Even after you didn't visit when I initially stopped caring for your relationship with Naruto. He still hoped you would deny it, but deep down he still hoped. Kushina listened intently, trying to see what Hiruzen's point was. He waited 3 entire years for you. He waited the entire time you said you may return. The final day he was giving you, he took off of Anbu missions and sat at the village gate the entire day. He thought you kept your promise when he saw 2 figures walking down the road towards Konoha. He was so happy. All the darkness from within him vanished, only to be filled with all the love and adoration he locked away from before. Only for the remaining love to be crushed and sent into the flames. It wasn't you, it wasn't anyone, just some villagers. You didn't keep your promise. Naruto broke again. That was the night he shattered any ties he had with you. Hiruzen explained, only to make Kushina cry even harder. The night was filled with the wails of a mother who killed her own child. Hokage's office. 3 hours later, Hiruzen Sarutobi was finishing up paperwork he left off. Considering all that went down today, he escorted Kushina and Mito back home, with Kushina continuously muttering things like, I'm sorry, I need to see my baby, or please don't leave me. Hiruzen was still made of Kushina, but a poor display like that could make almost anyone feel bad for her. Swoosh, in a swirl of darkness, Naruto appeared in the middle of the office. He clearly just got back from some heavy stress relief, aka the extreme training he does whenever he's too full of emotion and needs to vent some anger. Did you really have to do that to her? Hiruzen asked, not even looking up from his paperwork. Yes, you know how thick-headed she is. I had to be as blunt as a hammer to show her how serious this was. Still a bit too much. Naruto simply shrugged in response. Anyways, what brings you here this evening? Naruto asked curiously, as he looked up from his paperwork. I want a mission. Naruto spoke straight to the point. Okay, you can get one from the Anbu headquarters. Hiruzen said skeptically, not knowing where this was going. I want one out of the village, a long-term one. Naruto clarified. Hiruzen stared daggers towards the blonde. Naruto didn't flinch under the heavy pressure. Why, may I ask? I don't trust myself to be in the village at this time. I can only hold back my emotions for so long before I snap, and, as Hokage, I don't think you would want that. That's why I need some time out of the village to clear my head, hone my skills. Naruto explained. Sigh. I see Hiruzen wasn't surprised, and didn't really want to do this, but Naruto gave some valid points to take into account, even if Naruto didn't tell him the main reason he wanted to be out of the village. Naruto just waited patiently for a reply. I initially didn't want you to take this mission, but here you are perfectly in time for it like always. What a coincidence. Hiruzen sighed again, as he unraveled his scroll. What is it? Naruto asked seriously, as he noticed Hiruzen's demeanor changed quite drastically. Kurogakure is in the middle of a civil war, in case he didn't know. Hiruzen started. Yes, a representative of the rebels recently came to us asking for aid, and I completely agree with their standpoints, and I believe they are on the right side in the war. One can't simply help them. If Konoha can't simply help them without any repercussions, if we help the rebels, the Mizukage would see that as an act of war. That could bring in other countries, like for example Iowa could join the Mizukage and help overthrow the rebels, and then after they could come for us. We still aren't at our top shape like all those years ago, given a few years maybe, but as of right now Kiri and Iowa may be able to take us. We have an alliance with Suna, but that doesn't mean they could help us. They're worse off than us. And while we are on good terms with Kumo, that doesn't mean they will come to help us. Not to mention the minor villages that would join with Kiri and take a grab at our land in the case that they win. Hiruzen explained. So that means Naruto started with a dangerous glint in his eye that Hiruzen didn't like too much. If I want to help them, I have to send in an undercover ambu team to assist them. And since your mother clearly isn't up to the task, Hiruzen started. What does she have to do with this? Naruto asked curiously. Oh? You didn't know? The Mizukage is a Jinchuriki. We could use her chains to subdue him quite easily. But since she isn't able at the moment, we have Tenzo going, but you, Hiruzen explained, can help in subduing the beast since I have better control of my chains than he does with Milkujin. Naruto realized. Exactly, that, and your prowess in using your chains with multiple opponents at once. Hiruzen finished. I would be a demon on the battlefield, as long as they are all S-class ninja. Naruto had a grin by this time. Exactly, so you will literally be going to war. War isn't a nice thing. Naruto, you may be a demon, but don't worry about Gramps. I can handle it. If anything, it will help me. It's war, Naruto. This isn't a laughing matter. Do you see me laughing? Well, no. Then don't worry. I'm taking this as seriously as you are. Naruto reassured his grandfather figure. Fine, you, Tenzo, Yugao, Sai, Hawk, and Seal are going to go to the and meet with one of the Kiri rebels at the designated meeting place and be led to the rebel base. There you will meet with the rebel leader and explain the situation and your certain skills. Obviously don't give everything away, just the bare minimum, like how you and Tenzo can subdue the Jinchuriki if necessary. Hiruzen explained as he signed a few documents. Very well. When do we leave? Naruto asked seriously. You will have 4 days to prepare and polish your weapons. After that you're on your own. Hiruzen explained. Very well. I will take my leave then. Wait. Naruto. Hiruzen interrupted. Yes? Make sure you tell Mikoto you will be out of town. You may tell her what you are doing, just try and keep her calm so she doesn't come barging into my office. It's going to be bad enough with Kushina. Hiruzen begged. Will do, Gramps. Naruto chuckled as he left out the door with a smile. Naruto walked down the halls with a grin on his face. What's a better way to pay somebody back with a taste of their own medicine? Naruto asked himself sarcastically. Thanks for watching my video. Leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. And make sure to check out the author of this fanfic. Link is in the description. See you next time. Till then, sayonara.